Hi, I'm John Counsel. I'm a senior reporter with Texas Lawyer newspaper, and welcome to the June 20th, 2008 edition of Reversed and Remanded. My guest today is Gary Udashen. He's a well-known criminal defense lawyer in Dallas, and he's with the law offices of Sorrell, Udashen, and Anton. And I've got him on today to talk about some hot criminal law topics that we've written about in our paper. But by way of introduction, I also have to show you the greatest photo ever to run a Texas lawyer, and it happens to be of Gary Udashen in 1973. That right there is Gary Udashen. 1973. Now that incident, that photo provoked an incident in the Goff's Hamburger.
Goff's Hamburgers,
right? The owner is Harvey.
Harvey Goff.
I'm not a big fan of teenagers with long hair. It's well known if you live in Dallas, and it provoked an incident that led you to law school. So
that's right. That's right.
Okay. We'll get back later. But anyway, all right, Gary, I want to talk to you a little bit about the upcoming retrial in what's known as the HLF case here in Dallas. It's the Holy Land Foundation. The founders of this religious charity were accused of funneling money to Hamas, and there was a huge trial months ago that kind of ended up in chaos. I believe most of the defendants there was a mistrial on most of the counts, and then I think one guy was acquitted. I can't remember exactly what happened. But the interesting thing about the upcoming retrial is the defense has asserted a double jeopardy claim, asking for them, I guess, to be the clients not to be tried again. And I believe the reason is they allege that the prosecution in the first trial had submitted demonstrative evidence to the jurors, which I think are like PowerPoint presentations in which it would include a little bit of the prosecution's argument. And I think you can't have a jury look at that. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
The question is, if a jury doesn't find somebody guilty, or if there's a mistrial, for purposes of double jeopardy, are they being tried again for the same crime?
Jeopardy attaches on a jury trial once the jury's sworn. So jeopardy has attached it in that circumstance. And when there's a mistrial and if the defense can show some prosecutorial misconduct, which is what the defendants have alleged here, then there would be a jeopardy bar to a retrial. So the fact that they were not convicted is really not the issue, because it's the mistrial situation is where you do have a jeopardy bar under these kind of circumstances. Okay, so the call that the judge is going to have to make, I think it's Judge Solis has this case. I believe that's right.
The call he's going to have to make is whether if in his opinion that there was prosecutorial misconduct in this case. I believe the government said no. So if it was an accident, is that prosecutorial misconduct? If they didn't realize what they were sending to the jury was not something they should have seen, is that misconduct?
Well, the controlling case is going to be Oregon versus Kennedy. It's a Supreme Court case concerning mistrials and double jeopardy. And my understanding of Oregon versus Kennedy is that it's going to require more than just a simple accident.
Yeah.
As I understand the nature of the motion, the defendants allege that it was more than a simple accident.
Yeah.
And this evidence, this demonstrative exhibits, were very crucial to the jury deliberations, apparently. And there seems to be a legitimate argument that had the jury not had those exhibits back in the jury room, that they very well may have acquitted all or some of these defendants.
Yeah. Oh, and as a matter of disclosure, Marlo Canadu, who's a defense lawyer in this case and who is one of the counsel who filed that motion, was in your office for a while.
Sure, she worked in our office for a while. She's a very good lawyer.
Yeah, yeah. All right, next issue, another Dallas-related case, and if you live in Dallas, you remember this case, or even if you didn't. This is the Darlie Routier's capital murder case. She's been on death row for quite some time for a 1997 murder of one of her children. Controversial case. Darlie says that an intruder broke into her house and killed both of her children. She was tried for the death of one of them. The state's theory of this case was that the Routiers were in financial straits. So now she has asked for a DNA test of many items in this case, and this week the Court of Criminal Appeals unanimously allowed her to have a DNA test on things that weren't tested before. What's interesting about this case is it's a Dallas County case. Our fairly new DA here has made a name for himself in exonerating people or embracing the exoneration of Dallas County convicts who could be cleared through DNA. However, Craig Watkins sent out a press release just days ago saying, we believe that she's guilty and we believe that the test will prove that she's guilty. So, Gary, what happens if the evidence comes back that there's foreign DNA that's associated with this case? What do you do if you're Craig Watkins?
Well, I think Craig Watkins is saying that his office, since he took over, has investigated the case and they think she's guilty, and I'm sure that's what he thinks. However, if the DNA test comes back that shows somebody else was there that fits Routier's theory, then I would expect Craig Watkins to change his position on that. I mean, I believe he's saying he believes she's guilty, and he believes the DNA test will further prove that she's guilty, but I don't think he'll stick with that if the DNA test doesn't prove that.
Yeah, the state's theory in this case has always been that the crime scene was staged, that Darlie or somebody had staged it to look like somebody broke in, and they actually have pretty strong evidence to show that happened. So let's say that DNA comes back. Does that you've got to back off that theory, I guess. And the thing about this case is that a lot of people still remember the Routier case. It's still pretty fresh in people's minds, whereas a lot of these exonerations that Craig has embraced, nobody remembers these people. Is this a politically hot case for him, you think?
I think he has done such a good job and has such a good reputation in the community now that if somebody on a high-profile case is proven to be innocent through DNA, that the community will back him with whatever he does.
Yeah. Goodwill will carry him through then. Okay. Final issue is a controversial rule change at the Court of Criminal Appeals. There's a rule that has to do with disclosing whether or not you can disclose things that a client not necessarily told you, but you learned during representation later on. I guess if there's further, you've read the rule. But when does this rule that we're talking about pop up? Explain this to me.
Well, for instance, if I am representing somebody, clearly if anything they tell me is covered by attorney-client privilege. But in the course of my investigating the offense, if I talk to some other witnesses who give me information, then that information will also be covered by the attorney-client privilege. Okay,
now I think the legislature sort of did away with that rule years ago, but it's an old rule. It's been around since the 1850s. I would imagine that attorney-client privilege covers a lot of things, but do we need to hold on to this rule in your opinion?
This is a useful rule because it allows the privilege to cover the entire investigation and what the defense lawyer learns in the investigation. And I am not aware that it's caused any problems, that there's any reason to revisit it.
Okay.
And so I don't see the push or the reason to eliminate this rule.
Yeah, okay. And I don't think the court has eliminated it. They just kind of extended the comment period on what they do.
Right, that's my understanding.
Yeah, okay. All right, now it's time to put Gary in what I like to call the witness stand. I'm going to ask him some questions and see what he has to say. Okay. All right, first one. Gary, have you ever been back to Goff's Hamburgers?
No.
Okay.
But I understand the new Goff's Hamburgers is not this. Harvey Goff doesn't own it anymore.
Yeah, is it?
So I could go there.
Hamburgers are still good. I've eaten them many times. All right. Gary, have you ever advised a client that one way to beat the high cost of gas is just to stay in jail?
No, that's a good idea.
Okay.
I'm going to try that one.
Okay. Be honest. When you read about high dropout rates in our schools, you must think to yourself, man, I am never going out of business.
That's true because most of the, at least to a certain extent, the kind of street crime people are high school dropouts.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay. Honesty. I like that. All right. Gary, what movie will you see this weekend? The Love Guru or Get Smart?
Oh, Get Smart, for sure.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.